and welcome to ESI Africa Insights. Today in studio we have Barry MacColl, who is the Senior Regional Manager for EPRI. Hello, Barry.
Hi, how are you doing today? It's great to be here.
It's always great to have you in studio.
Thank you.
So I know you want to talk all matters AI today, so let's just dive right in there.
Let's do it.
So AI, it's really being recognized as quite a transformative tool. And what do you think as EPRI? What are the best practices for using AI to enhance grid reliability and efficiency? And then what are the key benefits that you're seeing municipalities could get if they actually did this?
Okay, so you're right. AI is taking the world by storm. It's something that we can't ignore. It's actually something we need to embrace and bring into the workplace. It has huge advantages. But I want to stress that it's not magic. Some people think AI is going to solve all their problems. AI obviously stands for artificial intelligence. We have human intelligence, which has existed for hundreds of thousands of years. All we're trying to do now is replace that with machine learning, machine thinking. So the first lesson is don't expect AI to just suddenly arrive in the workplace and solve all the problems. So the advice we like to give is pick your battles. What is it in the business or in the workplace that is causing you the most pain? Are there AI use cases? Are there AI applications that can help you with that pain? And then focus on those. There's a lot of people out there that will knock on the doors of the municipalities and promise them snake oil and solutions that will, that maybe are on the table, but maybe the maturity is not there. Maybe they're difficult to implement. Maybe they're costly. So it's really about, I like the statement that a problem well stated is a problem half solved. Municipalities need to look at their business critically. What is it that needs to be fixed in order to improve reliability? And that's usually quite an easy exercise. Most municipalities know that. Then the question is there an AI application or an AI methodology that we can use to address that? I'll give you some examples. Some of the boring ones is just like documentation management. Most engineering companies, municipalities included, have cupboards full of manuals and papers and documents. If you can get that digitized and your people in the field can get access using large language models. So a large language model is natural language speak. So an engineer in the field could say, please show me the manual for this transformer at this substation. I'm looking to understand the volume of oil in the transformer. If that's all digitized, it should give you the answer very, very quickly. So the boring use case is documentation management. Other more, let's say, interesting use cases, there's a lot of image processing and video processing going on. So a person in the field with a camera can take a picture of something and literally ask in plain language, what is this? And if you've done your homework and you've programmed the language model correctly, it'll tell you what it is. It might even tell you the condition and say, but it doesn't look like it's in a very good condition. Please check this. You should be able to say, well, do you have a maintenance manual for this thing? And it would say, yes, I do. And this is weird because it's all in natural language, but you're talking to a machine, right? And then the manual will pull up and you say, well, can you talk me through the steps I need to take in order to remove this piece of equipment from the field and send it off to the workshop? So it's those kinds of applications that they sound easy to implement, but they rely on massive amounts of information behind the scenes. And that's why I say you need to pick your battles, because just doing transformer maintenance, for example, you've got to get all your transformer manuals in there. There's a lot of OEM information. There's a lot of general knowledge information. You've got to get into the system in order to be able to get the system to give you an intelligent answer when you ask a simple question.
Okay. So speaking about picking your battles, for utilities, digitalisation means data migration.
Sure.
And this is quite a problem because there's a lot of it. So what strategies or solutions would EPRI recommend to ensure a seamless data integration and a way to minimize the disruption while you are doing this process?
Sure. So again, pick your battles. Not all data is as valuable as each other. So figure out what's the most important data that you have. For municipalities, I would say billing data is very important, customer data. We used to talk about customer network link. Where are my customers? Who are my customers? What's their meter number, et cetera, et cetera. That's the core, that's the basis of most municipal customer-facing tools. And then all your engineering data is your asset data. Where are my assets? Believe it or not, some engineering companies don't know. They know they've got lots of poles and they've got lots of conductor, but they're not exactly sure where it is. So do a data assessment of what you've got and what you don't have. What you've got, then guard with your life. So the first obvious thing is make sure before you do any migration, you've got a backup in a very secure location. There's lots of horror stories about people migrating data and going, oops, it's gone. There's horror stories about people just migrating spreadsheets, and you can imagine if a spreadsheet column and row just moved by one, you've mismatched your entire database. So it's simple steps that don't rush it. Do it carefully, do it in a phased approach, have the backups, and then start with the most valuable data that you've got. That's the risk. The advantage of doing it is it also gives you an opportunity to clean up your data. So simple things like, it doesn't take an AI engine, but you can write some simple algorithms that would say, this person's ID number is too long, or this person's ID number is too short, or this person is 150 years old, they can't be in the database anymore. So as you migrate your data, it gives you the opportunity to also clean it up to some extent, and then bring it into the next system that you're using. Another aspect or thing to consider is whether to use a cloud-based data platform or a server-based data platform. Now, fundamentally, a cloud is just a server, someone else's server somewhere else in the world. But a lot of companies are nervous about using cloud-based to put their metering data into a cloud, customer data into a cloud. There's Protection of Information Act. There's cybersecurity attacks. And these are valid concerns. So if you do go cloud-based, we think cloud is fantastic, but you need to go through a proper service provider who's got all those checks and balances in place to make sure your data is secure. And it's the way of the future. I think 20 years from now, probably very few servers in the basement of the building with all the data on. It's going to be in the cloud somewhere.
Okay. So with the growing complexity of the electrical grid, digitalization is quite essential for optimization. So what advice do you have for utilities as they adopt digital tools that they use for improved grid performance and to accommodate emerging technologies also as they arise?
Sure. So the challenge is that everyone, we're here at NLIT today, and the exhibition floor is full of new technologies, and they're all pretty much digital, right? So everyone out there is trying to sell you the latest, greatest digital technology, and it becomes a little bit overwhelming. So you need to become an educated buyer. So don't just believe the hype that the OEM will tell you, if you buy this from me, it's going to solve all your problems. Focus on the solution. So you mentioned reliability and availability. What is it in your network that's causing the unreliability? Maybe it's lightning. Maybe it's vegetation management. Maybe it's vermin. Maybe it's old wood poles. Whatever it is that you are most worried about, then focus again on that. Is there a digitization benefit to that? If you've got a wood pole problem on your network and you go and put in smart meters, it's not going to solve the wood pole problem, right? It's like you spend a lot of money on digitizing your metering system, but it's not actually the problem. The problem is inspection of wood poles. So are there digital tools, and there are, that can take pictures of poles, can take sample of poles, feed it into a database and start to give you information around the status and the integrity of your wood poles? That's probably going to have a much bigger return on investment than digitizing something else. But it's quite easy to get caught in the hype because everyone wants you to digitize everything. So as a manager in an organization, because the engineers also love bright, shiny objects. The engineers will come, boss, I've got this thing, we need to do this. The managers need to say, what problem will it solve? If I digitize this thing, this asset or this technology or this process, what problem will it solve? And if the problem's not a big problem, then don't digitize it. Put it further down the to-do list, further down the priority list. Focus on the things that really are going to help you. I mentioned smart metering just now. I joke sometimes with the smart metering manufacturers is that if you use an old-fashioned, we used to talk about an electromechanical meter that just spins and measures kilowatt hours. If that bill is getting sent out and not getting paid, putting in a digital meter that sends the same bill that doesn't get paid doesn't solve the problem. The problem is non-payment. The problem is not the meter. So digitizing a meter that's not going to solve your problem necessarily. Digitizing maybe the meter management process and the maintenance process and the customer relations process and all that stuff might help. Identifying where you have got losses and where you have got non-payment, that information can help. But find the business pain point and see if there are digital solutions to fix it, rather than starting with digitization, thinking with faith and hope that it's gonna solve your problem. A wise manager once said to me that hope is not a strategy. Yeah, you have to have a plan.
Okay. Thank you, Barry, for that dose of reality.
It's a pleasure.
And thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for the next episode.